Welcome back, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here with another Starcraft 2 cast. Today we have a ZvT between TLO and MythiC on Ruins of Endion. So, in the bottom right corner, spawning, we have SC2 Improv's MythiC, and on the left side, bottom left, we have Team Liquid's TLO. So today it is a ZvT on Ruins of Endion, as I said before, which is going to make a fairly interesting game. We haven't actually seen too many high-level TVZs on this map, as it is one of the newer maps. But I believe the Zergs tend to aggravate more towards a Roach Ravager style, so TLO could be going for some heavy aggression, or he could always go greedy since it is TLO. He could really be doing anything. Now, MythiC being a Terran player who doesn't necessarily have the biggest reputation for anything, so he could really bust out anything at this point, which is going to make this really interesting, as we haven't actually seen too much of TLO in Legacy of the Void, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes out, and it seems that it's just going to be a fairly standard game. TLO going for that hatchery first into the spawning pool, not being super greedy or anything, and it seems that MythiC's just going to be going for a Reaper expand. So as far as Legacy of the Void TVZ goes, it seems it's going to be a very standard game here. No players taking any big risks or anything like that, just being defensive and whatnot. And that's mainly likely because it is such a defensive map with all these rocks and quite a long rush distance when it comes to walking all the way around here. Okay, so let's see. We've got that spawning pool finishing up for TLO, just still macroing, starting up some Zerglings, his queen, and going for a fast Zergling speed, so he's going to want that map control to shut down any potential Reapers, but really it's just the one Reaper for MythiC. Just seeing that watchtower, so he knows there's no rush coming at this point or anything really. He's gonna come in and see the hatchery for TLO. He'll know exactly what sort of build he's going for. And the Reaper's not gonna get too much information, it seems, as he's just gonna press in and be pushed away by these Zerglings. TLO doing good micro to sort of divide up the damage done to these Zerglings here. One of them getting a bit low, might get picked off here by the Reaper, but no, it seems that the Reaper's gonna be pushed out. Now that the Queen is done, but MythiC actually getting the one Zergling here. The one Zergling for his efforts while he's getting up his factory and other barracks. So going into a macro-oriented play, it seems, not super greedy or anything, like no super fast third CC. Just yet, anyway. He could be going into a third CC and actually getting a tech lab on his other barracks, so it looks like it's going to be a stim. Maybe going for some drops, it seems like this could be. If he throws down a starport here, he'll likely be going for some drops. So there we go. So he's probably going to start up stim on this barracks and then get a reactor out. So he's going to be going for some marine drops earlier on. This Reaper is actually going to be caught off by these Zerglings, though, since Zergling speed has finished, but it might escape because it is going to be able to make the jump down. But TLO interpreting this, sending some Zerglings down, so the Reaper's being forced to go up, down, but it actually jumps around, sneaking past the Zerglings, throwing down a grenade to push them off, but it seems he is going to be caught out here and die. So that Reaper goes down, but given a good chase, well, forcing those Zerglings to give him a good chase. And MythiC taking down these rocks so that TLO is not going to be able to get a bunch of Zerglings in, but actually if you do make it in, just the original 4 that TLO's invested in, he actually still is just on the original 4 Zerglings. Now what we see interestingly here is that MythiC's actually using the reactor to make 2 Widow Mines and is just making the 1 Medivac here, so it's gonna be a 2 Widow Mine drop likely, or it could be a pressure at the front of TLO's base. Now TLO getting up that third base, getting up a Baneling Nest, Spore Crawlers, because he hasn't actually scouted. He has not scouted much. Actually, no, he has scouted, but he did see a tech lab. He's just being safe for Banshees and drops, really. Spread and creep into his main base. Playing quite defensive, not super greedy or anything. Getting up some Banelings to hold off any attack that might be coming out soon. MythiC still just macroing up, and he's just throwing down a supply depot over here, so that just wanting to be safe. And that means he's probably going to be going for a CC soon. Yep, and there it is. That's because he's throwing down the supply depot, so he wants to have vision on that rocks, make sure no attacks are coming around or anything. And TLO seems completely content to be doing this macro, spreading lots of creep with his queens, getting these zerglings up, getting these zergling upgrades. And seemingly not too much happening right now besides this drop that's been coming in for... This drop coming in for MythiC, trying to get as much damage done as he can. Has he actually killed any units? He seems to have killed no workers here, and this Medivac is actually taking a bit of damage from the Spore Crawler, so he wants to be safe there. And he's actually going to be pushed back, but TLO has Spore Crawlers at every base, so these mines won't be able to get too much damage done, assuming TLO does pull back, but it seems this mine is going to get a hit, and he gets it off, and he kills 4 drones, which is very nice considering all this defense TLO invested into. Dropping another mine, interestingly enough, behind these rocks to try and do something cheeky, but he loses the Medivac. That is not worth it for his efforts. So now this Marine and mine are sort of stranded. He's going to go burrow the mine to try and do anything he can. Might actually hit this Overlord here if he chooses to burrow it, but for now the units are just standing there straight up on TLO's vision. Meanwhile, MythiC is going out with another Marine drop, actually supported by 2 Medivacs, so these Marines will have quite some good healing power. His stim is finished, and it seems that mine is not going to get a nice hit off, so really we're going into a game where MythiC is trying to get any damage done he can, really, but it doesn't seem that he's going to get too much up. TLO going up to a lair, likely going to be going into mutas this game, seems, or a very fast ultra possibly, because he is getting these zergling upgrades. Now, importantly enough here, we actually have just MythiC just starting his marine upgrades, well, his bio upgrades, and whereas TLOs are just going to be finishing here. Now we actually see 2 more gases have been taken for TLO, so it is likely going to be mutas because of the fact that he's getting the lair, and he should be starting a spire soon, actually getting his upgrades first before he does that, whereas MythiC's just getting up all his tech, getting up more barracks, getting up his armory for when he wants to go into his own 2-2. But TLO is going to have quite an upgrade lead here for quite some time. MythiC just macroing up, getting up an extra starport, meaning he'll probably want to go into quite a few Liberators here, which is a good choice considering that TLO is going for a spire. MythiC is not aware of this yet, but he's probably understands it because he's seen no roaches, he's seen no infestation pit, actually hasn't seen the lair, so he's really assuming here, but he hasn't seen any other units, which is a pretty big tell. Now, TLO is getting up a 4th base, which is not super greedy for Zerg at this point, but MythiC could come in and do some damage here. The army supply is in the lead for MythiC, so TLO really needs to be prepared for an attack. And he is being prepared in a good sense by spreading out all these creep. Spreading out all this creep, he'll see any attacks coming. But he really does need to produce some more units here to be safe. And actually going for an infestation pit and burrow, so TLO is going to be going for some burrowed banelings. But whether that will come into play before MythiC goes for an attack, because MythiC does seem quite ready to be going for an attack, actually just dropping 1 Marine onto this watchtower here, but that Marine is going to be short-lived, and down both of those Marines go. Actually detonating 2 banelings though, so 2 banelings for 2 Marines is a good trade. Okay, so now we see TLO getting out lots of banelings. This creep spread is rushing across the map by all sense, and TLO actually spreading creep with his overlords to try and get good vision to make sure that no attack flanks around from the north. But it seems that MythiC might just be going for a sort of straight-on attack here with all these tanks. He has so many tanks. And it seems that TLO is actually not going for Mutalisk, he's going for Corruptors to deal with these tanks and Medivacs. Now, the Corruptors will be able to to restrict the repositioning of the tanks with the Medivacs, but they will not be able to pick off the tanks like Mutas will. So really TLO is going to need a lot of ground units, but he's actually really teching here. He could be caught off really badly. He is not aware of this attack, but he'll actually see these rocks breaking down if he notices it. He has not seen the army of MythiC or any drops, so he should be suspicious of an attack coming out here. TLO losing a creep tumor, so that's a huge tell. He's going to know. He's pulling back all his units. He's making Zerglings, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. MythiC is pushing in with all these tanks here. The tanks are picking off the spores for TLO's defense. So many tanks here. There's actually 5, I believe. And these Marines are going to elevator up. This is such a hard position to engage to, but TLO is going to be going for it. So many tanks here. The banelings are crashing and getting some great connections on the south, but these tanks are still alive. The Corruptors picking off the Liberator and as many medivacs as they can, but so much is left for TLO. TLO has lost almost all his banelings. He's producing 50 Zerglings here, but these tanks, these Zlings need to come out at a right time. TLO cleaning up some more bio, picking off more medivacs. He needs to clean up these Liberators so he can get a straight run at. And these Liberators are actually unsieging to engage the Corruptors. TLO getting a bunch more Zerglings here, picking off more and more medivacs. This army supply is still in the favor of Mythic, but TLO has majorly held this. But these tanks are actually still in a great position, killing off a lot of Zerglings here, and TLO is bleeding them out at a sort of rapid rate. These Corruptors are getting low. There's enough Liberators to challenge them and chase them down unless a miracle spread comes out of TLO. And while it seems there might actually not be enough Corruptors here, since there is so many Liberators due to that second starport of Mythic. Mythic's 2-2 now finishing, so TLO's upgrade advantage is gone here. And Mythic is just holding on to this position with all he can. He's rallying all his units down to this position. He knows that these tanks are so abusive. And TLO could be dying here. I mean, these Corruptors are going to try to pick off the Liberators. The Queens have been brought forward to help out. Almost all the tanks have gone down. Only one left. Well, two left, actually. But it seems that Mythic has so many units now. TLO, lots of workers, but not a large army supply right now. Not enough banelings here. He's chasing these Marines down, but the tanks are picking off so many of them. These Corruptors need to pick off the Liberators, which are just slowly chipping away at the Zerglings. Sure, Liberator's not super effective versus Zerglings, but all units matter for TLO right now. I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold this. He's only got a few banelings. He's being forced to pull the drones. More banelings are morphing up, but he does not have any Zerglings to support them right now. Tanks are laying into these drones, and that is actually going to be GG with a strong push coming out from Mythic, from Team SC2 Improv. So that was a great game here, a very, very strong push coming out from Mythic. TLO just going for great defense, but not enough. He almost teched too quickly, was not prepared enough, relying on those Corruptors. But those tanks got into a great position. He did not have Mutas to pick them off. So maybe it was that choice for Corruptors that caused TLO to lose the game. Maybe going Mutas would have gone better, but Mythic had so many Liberators nonetheless. TLO, it's hard to say what he should have done better, but it arguably should have been more focusing on defense and getting less tech, just to try and hold off the big attack of Mythic that was coming, and then tech further. We actually see the resources lost. Mythic was so cost efficient there. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribing and giving feedback is greatly appreciated, and I shall see you next time.